Because, about 20 years ago, when I approached the discipline the first time, and the discipline itself was still quite new, it was a mess. Food design was everything and the opposite of everything. Searching for food design on Google was a literal nightmare. So I've spent a considerable amount of time trying to figure out what it was. Because it seemed weird to me that what chefs did was called in the same way food design that what product designers did. And to me, it didn't make sense because these people have different backgrounds. So it was useful for me to define what food design is, also to figure out how different people with different backgrounds, having studied different things, are actually contributing to the discipline. So I have put together a visualization of this discipline and of its sub-disciplines that turned out to be quite useful to me and in the end to other people as well. So first of all, we have food product design. And food product design is basically the design of food that is mass produced. So you have your, Pringles, your packaged ice cream, etc. Then we have design with food, which is the design of the food itself. Here designers are usually chefs and food scientists. So these are people who know how to create the actual edible component of the whole thing. And for example, here they're designing the textures, colors, temperatures, etc. Then we have design for food, which is designing anything to contain food, to cook food, to transport food, etc. So here we have packaging, food packaging design, and we also have the design of your vessels and utensils. We use vessel as another word for plate, because food designers today have gone way beyond serving food on a white round plate. Today food design is served on umbrellas and it's served on the walls. Heston Blumenthal has designed a lickable wallpaper to serve his starter in one of his events. So we use the word vessel to indicate anything where food is served. Then we have food space design, and here we are designing the space for the eating experience or the cooking experience. So the space of a restaurant, or we are designing kitchens themselves, whether they're professional kitchens or kitchens at home. Because we all know too well today how important it is, for example, the music that you are listening to while you are in a restaurant, and how the rhythm or the pitch of the music that you're listening to influences your actual taste experience. And we know how much light influences the eating experience and the texture of the chair on which you're sitting, etc. So food space design, we are designing the eating or cooking environment. And then we have eating design, and this is quite fun because this is where we get to design entire eating situations. This is usually events design, food events design. And in designing an eating event or an eating situation, you get to design everything from the food itself, its vessel, the space, the service style, etc. And then we have food service design, where we are designing the entire food service. So here we're designing an entire restaurant, a cafe, a food truck, anything. And again, you get to design from the food itself, to the vessel, to price on the menu, etc. And I think over here it's important for me to point out that when the object of, or let's say when the outcome of your food design process gets more and more complex, what becomes the key for good food design is cohesiveness. So a design process can help achieve cohesiveness, because you want in the end to propose to people an experience where the food and the chair they're sitting on and the lighting and what the service staff tell them and the pricing and everything speaks the same language, tells the same message, and in that sense is cohesive. And also that's how and why, one example of how having a design process is useful. Then we have critical food design, and in this case basically this is critical design applied to food specifically. And in critical food design, also called speculative design, we find products that don't even, or events that don't necessarily aim at selling something, but the goal is to make people think about whatever issue that the designer is passionate about. And then finally, and then we have food system design. So here we get even more complex, and we are designing an entire food system, or more likely an intervention in a set food system. So here come into play distribution and supply chain, etc. And then finally, that's sustainable food design, which to me is not really a food design sub-discipline, but it should just be a lens through which you design anything that you want to design. A lens that talks about the various aspects of sustainability.